Hello, everybody. My name is JP Brooker. I am the Director of Florida Conservation for Ocean Conservancy, based in St. Petersburg, Florida, and we're just getting started. We're waiting a few minutes for people to log in and get situated for this really fun and exciting event that we're about to hold here. For this event, all attendees will be muted and off video. And I'd like to remind you that you can use the chat feature to send either the panelists questions or to send the attendees and panelists any comments or questions that you might have. The chat feature will also serve as our communication to the audience. And throughout the evening, we'll be posting information in there. So we encourage you to keep an eye out on the chat. And we're going to use the Q&A feature today. So if you're having issues with your technology, or if you have a question during the event, be sure to use that Q&A feature and get in touch with us, and we'll try to iron things out. We'll be following the recipe guide this evening, which was mailed out to you. And in the meantime, I encourage people to introduce themselves in the chat. And you can include your name, where you're from, what your favorite ocean animal is. My favorite ocean animal is here behind me on the wall. This is the Florida fighting conch. It's a little shell. It's only about this big, but it's incredibly feisty. If you pick it up, it's going to try and use its operculum to hook you away from it. So it's an incredible little fierce-spirited animal here we have on the Florida coasts. So we'll be getting started here momentarily. Throughout the event, we'll be doing a series of polls, which are trivia questions related to tonight's festivities. So ocean-themed trivia questions, also mixology-themed trivia questions. And we'll start with a few of those now, and we'll have a few more scattered throughout the event. So I think in a moment, you should be seeing a poll question popping up. So wherever you go in Florida, you're never more than how many miles from the beach or the ocean? This is probably an easy question for us Floridians because we love the beach so much, but I see some very specific answers in there. You can use the multiple choice question feature there to pick your answer. We'll wait for the answers to trickle in before we see the results. But you know, Florida, one little piece of trivia that's adjacent to this question is that Florida has the longest coastline in the contiguous United States. Only Alaska has a longer coastline than Florida. We have 1,300 miles of beaches and coasts here in this state. And it's really, truly one of Florida's most, splendid treasure. And it's a huge driver of our economy. So I don't know if everyone's had a chance to answer that yet. Probably some more answers are trickling in. And I think we'll see the results here in a minute. Yep, here's the results. Okay, so, you guys are winners. 44% of you, 15 folks put 60 miles from the beach. That is correct. I wish it was 30 miles sometimes. Actually, where I live in Gulfport, Florida, it's only 2 miles from the beach. In fact, we have a little municipal beach just 2 blocks from my house. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. So we've got another poll question, I think, coming up here that will be showing up momentarily as we're waiting for folks to show up. So this one is, what country does gin originate from? Iceland, England, Holland, Ireland. I feel like, this is sort of primer level alcohol knowledge. Probably a lot of us know this answer. I think I know this answer. But we shall see if all y'all can get this correct. And in that chat feature where you guys are saying where you're from, you should also throw down what your favorite ocean animal is. Like I said, my favorite ocean animal here is the Florida fighting conch. It's a feisty little snail that we have living in our sand here in Florida. I see sea otters, green turtles, octopus. I see otters, classic. Yep, who doesn't love an otter? A whale shark, of course, critical animal. Humpback whale, excellent creature, awesome pick. So I think we probably have the answers to this question available now. See how y'all did. England was the guess. Probably England is the biggest consumers of gin, but didn't, well, and I might be wrong on this, but I think gin originated in Holland. I don't know. I might be wrong on that. If our moderators on the back end can pop the answer into the chat, we'll probably know for sure. But Holland is the correct answer, our moderator says. So that's a little surprise one. Definitely when you go to England, you're thinking gin. But lo and behold, it originated in Holland. So I think we have one more poll question about sustainable fisheries. And that's going to pop up momentarily on the screen. And it may be showing up here. Okay. Now this is fish trivia, my favorite little bit of trivia, always fish trivia. How many fish species in the United States have been brought back to sustainable levels from an overfish status through management changes? And I'll give a little more context. In 1976, Congress enacted the Magnuson-Stevens Fishery Management Act, and that act is the blue ribbon law that the United States uses to bring fisheries stocks back from the brink, back from their historically overfished status. So in the intervening years since 1976, you know, through the management of many overfished and depleted stocks, we've been able to bring back how many? 20, 45, 75, or 100 fish species back from the brink. Put your answer in, and we'll see a couple of other favorite animals here. Manta ray, excellent choice. Octopus, Maine lobster, you can't not love a Maine lobster, especially at dinner time. Seahorses, beluga whales, octopus, love them all. I think, of course, a Miami dolphin. I mean, it could, if you're in Miami, what other animal could it be? It's got to be dolphins. Go Fins, right? So we're going to get the answer here on fish trivia popping up. And the answer, you guys guessed 75. Good guess. The correct answer is actually 45. As of the last status of the stocks from the National Marine Fisheries Service, we've rebuilt 45 stocks from their overfish status, which to some may not sound like a lot, but it's actually a critical triumph given the historical overfishing that has occurred in US waters and overseas. We've really brought a lot of stocks back from the brink, and it's been a great success story. So thank you all for participating in that with me. I'd like to welcome you all again. My name is JP Brooker, as I said at the top. I'm the Director of Florida Conservation for Ocean Conservancy, and I'm based in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm a 6th-generation Floridian. I was born and raised on the Indian River Lagoon in East Central Florida. I'm an avid fisherman, diver, surfer, naturalist, and I find great inspiration in the wilderness of Florida's marine and coastal ecosystems. And as a trained environmental lawyer, I've dedicated my career to fighting for health and sustainability of Florida's waters. During today's event, we'll be creating a spice mix led by James Beard Award winner Chef Alan Susser, shaking up our signature ocean cocktail with mixologist Derek Stilmann, hearing from event committee chair Bonnie Crabtree, and then rounding out the event with a cook-along from Chef Alan. It's my privilege to introduce our CEO, Janis Jones. Janis has led Ocean Conservancy for the past 3 years through a period of explosive growth and increased impact. Ocean Conservancy is an advocacy organization giving voice to the ocean in rooms, meetings, and discussions around the world. Janis leads this organization, ensuring that the call for a healthy, resilient ocean is front and center of the global conservation and is considered, and that conservation is considered in every decision we make as a community. Welcome, Janis.
Thank you, JP. Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are so excited that you are joining us for our inaugural Florida event. I really want to thank our event chair, Ocean Conservancy board member and platinum sponsor for today's event, Bonnie Crabtree, for her generosity and work to make this evening possible. And I also want to thank our co-chairs for the event, Chef Alan Susser and his wife, Judy Susser. We have great event sponsors this evening. At the gold level, Bo and Abigail Cutter, silver chair of Ocean Conservancy's board of directors, Suzanne Woolsey, and past chair of the board, Dan and Ginger Oros. Our Ocean cocktail sponsor is Bacardi USA, and this event is in partnership with Florida International University's Chapman School of Hospitality and Tourism Management and the Greater Miami and the Beaches Hotel Association. While we had very much hoped we could all be together in person this year, we are grateful that technology is allowing us to spend some time together talking about all that Florida's oceans and coasts have to offer, Ocean Conservancy's work on solutions, and with a very special bonus in that we all get to learn how to make a delicious ocean-inspired dish with Chef Alan Susser. As JP mentioned, Ocean Conservancy has worked in Florida for more than 3 decades, first on fish conservation and on ocean trash cleanups, and then more recently as a result of the BP Deepwater Horizon oil disaster to drive the restoration and the recovery of this critically important region. 4 years ago, as we saw the advent of red tides and algal blooms and the impacts of climate change really advancing across the state, we saw a real need to deepen our work and our relationships in Florida, which is why many of you are with us here today. And Bonnie will definitely be speaking more about our work later in the program. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our special guest for the evening, Chef Alan Susser. Oh, an award-winning chef, a James Beard award-winning chef, Chef Alan has long been an advocate for healthy oceans and sustainable fishing. He works at the intersection of food and conservation, and he gives a much-needed voice to the message that how and what we eat has a profound impact on the health of our ocean. Chef Alan works to help us all see that connection and enjoy delicious food as we do so. Chef Alan's landmark restaurant forever changed the way people eat in Miami, and he provides strategic and culinary support across the food industry. He's a culinary ambassador for the Monterey Bay Aquarium under its Sustainable Seafood Watch program, and his collection of cookbooks offers an array of amazing recipes while also incorporating the essence of sustainability into the world of cuisine. And so we are so thrilled to have Chef Susser as a partner. As chair of tonight's event, he's going to teach us how to cook a meal with sustainably sourced fish, and mixologist Derek Stilmann from Bacardi will help us create a cocktail we can enjoy while cooking. Derek currently heads up the Sylvester in Miami and started his own beverage company, Culture to Culture. And so with no further ado, please join me in welcoming Chef Alan, and I see Judy too.
Yes. Hi, how are you? Good. What a pleasure to be here with you and everybody who's joining us across Florida as well as across the nation. Really excited to be sharing some cooking. This is my wife, Judy, and we've been traveling the world for food, and we just kind of really love the ocean. It's just been part of our lives forever, and that's why we kind of live close to the ocean. And we want to make sure that it's there in its proper space for future generations, and that's kind of why we want to do what we can for the Conservancy and also for sustainable seafood. So today I'm going to start off with a spice mixing program. So I know there's a lot of you out there who are with us and are going to make this spice mixture as well. So I want you to sort of get yourself in mind, get your spices in order so that you have them in front of you. And we're going to get into that in just a moment. And kind of, you know, where I thought about spices for today is, you know, spices date back to biblical days. And that's when they were actually brought overland. But after the explorers, after the days of the explorers, they set out over the oceans. They set out over the Atlantic Ocean, over the Pacific Ocean, into the Indian Ocean. And all of these oceans became the trade routes for the spices and the trade routes for how communication and transportation changed. And that's kind of where the spices became so important to our whole world. And guess what? Not only is it important to the world, but it's important for our bellies because we love spices. There's a lot of flavor. There's a lot of impact with it. And I find that most Americans don't like spicy food, you know, and I found that one of the things that happened is that very often you grow up with spices in your own kitchen, like I did. I grew up with spice in my kitchen, and my mom had the same spice rack over her stove for, I don't know, like 15 years, you know, and I bet, I really wonder how many of you have spices in your spice cabinet for 5 years, for 10 years or even for 15 or more years. You know, don't be embarrassed. You know, you got to do that. But I'll tell you what, go for fresh spices, throw those old spices away so that we can really, you know, kind of look at what we're doing. So for the spices today, I kind of want to bring in some Creole spices, some of the Caribbean spice, because that's such a landmark of my cooking and some of the flavors that we have. And so that with that, if you're ready for this, we're going to get started on making the spices. Okay, so hopefully you've got a little bit of a measuring spoon or a regular spoon, and this is a regular proportionate type of a recipe. And so that here, just to review it, if you can see, we have some cumin as well as some coriander. Yeah, can you smell that? Some ginger and allspice, cinnamon, crushed red pepper, and then we also have some salt. Okay, usually salt doesn't belong in the spice mixture, but as we do in America, we like to put salt in, and so that, well, that's kind of, you'll see the combination there. So what I want to do, and as you're set, because we're doing this together, that's why Judy's going to do this as well, so that we can see that kind of anybody can do this. So, sorry, but it's the truth. So when we're measuring, we're going to start off with a teaspoon measure, okay? So the teaspoon measure, we're going to start off with some cumin, and you're going to take that and take 1 scoop of cumin and put it into 1 and then a second. So that's 2 teaspoons, okay? You kind of measure it off. 2 teaspoons of cumin going in first. Okay, you're doing good. Now I'm going to go into 2 teaspoons of coriander. Coriander is actually the seed of the cilantro. Really nice flavors. It gives it an earthy background flavor and a sweetness. So that's really kind of where that comes in. Then we go into the Caribbean spice. Okay, allspice. This is allspice, which, wow, it smells like allspice. It smells like a little bit of cinnamon and nutmeg and clove and all of these things that are going on. So this we're going to do 1 teaspoon of allspice and also 1 teaspoon of ginger. Okay, this is dry ginger. Dry ginger has a sweet spike to it, really wonderful for cooking seafood. To give it more of a Caribbean flavor, now I'm going to switch over. We're going to switch over now to a ½ teaspoon, okay? This is a ½ teaspoon, just some background notes. So this is background notes of cinnamon into the mixture. Okay, you're doing good. Hopefully, guys at home, you're doing great. I'm watching you. I hope you're getting it. And also 1 teaspoon of, ½ teaspoon that is, of the crushed red pepper flakes. Okay, and this is a dry mixture. So the idea of a dry mixture is that it's going to stay dry and it can be used today, which we're going to use in our recipe later, but also you can put some of it away for later on to use whenever. Now we're going to, that looks great. And now, okay, so I'll hand you some salt. Okay, that's salt. And salt you got to really be careful on. So just usually a mixture of the salt is going to be just enough to make it. And now let's mix it up. Okay, I've got it here in a mortar and pestle. And I'm just mixing it together, kind of crushing it at the same time, mixing it together. Okay, and now we've made it. Now smell that. Oh, man. Really good. Smells delicious. Really good. Okay, so this Creole spice, shrimp, pork, chicken, fish, vegetables, really anything. Very versatile, very easy to do. And so that hopefully you guys at home have done really well with this and got your spice mixture. As you can see, it's a lot more than we're going to need for today. And so that what you're going to do is put that into a Ziploc bag and save it, okay, for another day. But hopefully, a little bit later today, we're going to be doing a mahi-mahi mango mojo, okay? Mahi-mahi mango mojo. And that's going to use the Creole spice for it. So now we're going to go on with the program. And Derek, I'm going to turn the show over to you, and let's do some cocktails.
All right. Let's do it. All right, guys. Let me get all set up here. Make sure I'm unmuted. Okay, cool. Hey, everybody. My name is Derek Stilmann, and I am a Miami native. I am the bar manager over at the Sylvester Cocktail Bar, which is a Florida-themed cocktail bar, and really just pays homage to all of Florida, and a little wink to, obviously, Miami, my home city. Today, we're going to be doing a gin cocktail. Gin is one of my favorite spirits to work with. Not only is it great for cocktails, it's great on its own as just a two-step drink, which could be a gin and soda, a gin and tonic. And what we're doing today is we're going to be making a variation of a gin and tonic. It's a little bit more playful, a little fun, and really kind of plays with the summer heat that if you're from Miami or you're over on the East Coast, lower East Coast, you're feeling it for sure. So hopefully some of you guys have been able to get the ingredients. If not, that's okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about them, how to use them, what's important about them, why I use them, and what makes them so good. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure we have the right tools. So I have myself here a nice fancy glass. This is kind of a variation of a balloon meets a coupe. And what we're looking for is something gin and tonic sense, where we're going to get a nice big, either we call it a balloon or wine glass. That's really going to encompass that drink and kind of keep those aromas in there. And it's really just fun and playful as well. We're going to have little tongs for our ice. And then for ingredients, we're going to be using Bombay Sapphire today. It has some minis. I do have a few other special bottles as well. I have been to the Bombay Sapphire distillery. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that because how special they are and how it really reflects to the Ocean Conservatory. But we're also going to have a few other things. One is called Sailor's Gentian. Now, this is a little bit of a more difficult ingredient, I guess, to get. It's something that I would say is a great back bar item. What it is a gentian liqueur, which is a root-based liqueur. It is dry and bitter. And the reason that you would use it is you use it sparingly, almost like salt and pepper. The bitterness really brings out a lot of flavor in cocktails. Just adding a couple dashes here or a bar spoon there can really just uplift and bring out all these really fun flavor profiles, especially if you're using a great spirit like Bombay Sapphire with 10 different botanicals that are found all over the world. So without continuing to bore you guys too much, I'm going to get started. And the first thing you want to do is we want to ice our glass. And I can't stress enough of the idea of icing your glass first, because you put all this hard work into making a great drink and then you lay ice over it in a warm glass, and it kind of defeats the purpose because you get over dilution. You don't get that first amazing sip, which is really kind of the key to setting like how good the cocktail is going to be. First sip really makes the difference. So I'm going to put 2 large cubes in here. You obviously need small cubes. I'm just going to stir them in. And what I'm doing is 2 things. One, obviously I'm getting the ice inside, but I'm also chilling the glass, which is really great because it's just going to get that extra nice touch to it, a little bit of coldness on the lips. Those little small things are what make or break something going from good to great. Now, our special ingredient today is going to be blueberry. Now, if you ever made blueberry before, you know that it actually doesn't come out blue. And I wanted to pay homage to what we are right now fighting for, which is the Conservatory of our Oceans, and how important they are. So I didn't want to use anything unnatural. So what I have in here is red cabbage powder. And ironically, red cabbage powder actually turns blue in what we call an alkaline-based thing. There is acidity, and when acidity is added to it, it actually turns really bright red as well, or pink. So the way to combat that is actually a little bit of alkaline-based, something alkaline-based. In this case, we're using baking soda. A little bit of baking soda goes a long way. It doesn't really impart really much flavor, but it's going to help keep it nice and blue, which we're looking for. So we're going to do a 1/4 ounce of that. And what this is blueberry and a little bit of fresh cane sugar, as well as a little bit of acidity just to keep its shelf life stable and just make it pop. And a little bit of Himalayan sea salt just to get that profile of salt and homage to our oceans themselves. This is going to be that gentian liqueur. We want to use this sparingly, a bar spoon to a 1/4 max because it is bitter. And that's really going to just help make that blueberry and all those botanicals really shine. Now, one of the most important ingredients is Bombay Sapphire. What I love about Bombay Sapphire, guys, is I've been to the distillery, actually, I've been fortunate twice. It is based in Laverstoke, London, and it used to be a paper mill. What's amazing about Bombay Sapphire is how extremely sustainable they are. Everything that they do is purposeful. Even their distillation, they distill 24 hours a day. And the reason that they do that is because it requires so much more power to turn them off and turn them back on that they said, hey, you know what? We're going to constantly keep running these and making sure that we're producing efficiently. Not only do they produce it efficiently, all of the waste and heat waste is transferred through parts of the building to keep them warm during the cold times. The spices that are used by Ivano Tonuti, who's the master spice for Bacardi, for Martini Rossi, allocates these 10 spices from all over the world, from Morocco to Spain to Italy to South Africa. What makes gin so beautiful is that you have a variety of these beautiful botanicals that shine through the spirit, unlike its cousin, the vodka, which is actually younger than gin. As they said, Holland is the birthplace of gin, really the birthplace of its predecessor, which is Geneva, which is a malt-based liquor that was spiced with malts and red wine. And then from there, that ingenuity of the Dutch made gin. So here we have Bombay Sapphire, the blueberry elixir that we've made, and then a little bit of that bitter cordial or a bitter liqueur, the gentian liqueur. If you don't have the gentian liqueur and you still want to get those bitterness, just use some tonic water. I'm using soda water here, but it's really easy to replace. Tonic has that gentian as well, which will bring that bitter note to it. We're going to put 4 ounces of that in here. I like to jigger it out. You really don't need to. You can just pour it if you know and taste as you go. Tasting straw works just fine for that if you want it nice and sanitary. And we just want to give it a little stir. Just make sure all those ingredients are nice and incorporated together. What's great about this drink is not only is it blue, it looks super refreshing because it reminds me of the ocean. And it is.
Eric, we got a question from the audience for
yeah.
you. And it looks amazing. I wish I was sitting across the bar from you right now, in fact.
Hopefully soon.
Question from the audience. What's your favorite gin? I mean, you just gave us a lot of info on Sapphire, on Bombay Sapphire. An audience member says she's a fan of Hendrick's gin herself. What's your favorite?
Okay. Well, they're both great gins, and I am a big Bombay Sapphire gin fan. I do love London style dry gins. Hendrick's is a great one as well. The difference between Hendrick's and a London style is that they add flavors after it, and that's not necessarily bad. That rose and cucumber is really quite nice. It just depends on kind of the time of day and what you're looking for. For me, I like more bone dry gins. So Bombay Sapphire is a fantastic one. Old Raj, if you love juniper forward, Old Raj is a really cool gin. It's a really fun one. It's got a great label on it. It has this timely feel. And then if I had to pick one other one, I have lots of them on the shelf. I would have to say, actually its sister, which is the Oxygen. Oxygen is very mucho gusto. It's big, very big. What they do is, this is going to be 47%. It's pretty gnarly. It's got a lot more. It's about twice the amount of botanicals, and it's done in what we call a sub-zero distillation. And what they mean is they press the pressure inside of the distill until it gets to sub-zero, and they distill from there. And what that means is they're allowed to get to a boiling point at a much cooler temperature. And what that does is it reduces the amount of cooking of the actual herbs and spices, allowing to get a lot more of those freshness profiles. The same thing with the gin, which is steam distillation. It's not done sub-zero, but it's done with vapors. So both these gins are fantastic.
We actually got another question for you. Michael Orbach writes, if you didn't want dilution, why leave the ice in, is a question.
Well, that's good. It's not that you don't want dilution. It's about purpose and intent. And what that means is, how much dilution do I want? And if I do want dilution, how do I incorporate it? So I know that I'm going to get dilution off of this drink, and I actually want it to some extent because it is a tall drink. It is a little bit more, it has a lot more leeway to it. But chilling my glass, instead of, let's say, maybe stirring it into a mixing glass or a mixing tin and pouring it in, the difference is I'm only getting the dilution that I want within here, and I can stir it to the maximum amount of rotations that we call to get that dilution. If you didn't want to do that and you'd have like a served up martini, usually a spirit forward drink, then you would obviously want no ice here. But the thing is, with a drink that's, we call it kind of long and tall, it's okay to open up and to dilute a little bit more than usual, especially if you're going to be putting out a certain amount of tonic or a certain amount of soda water in it. Hopefully that kind of answers the question.
Definitely.
But it's a good question.
On camera for a second, actually, but you might come back in a second. But in the meantime, we had a couple of poll questions that we can pop up on the screen about gin. I think you're back there.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. But yeah, your camera's back up. We do have a poll question or two I think we were going to go into. So I don't know if the moderator wants to pop one up. Yeah, I don't think you can see it, Derek, but I'll read it, and you can talk about it a little bit. The question is, what country has the world's highest gin consumption per capita? And the options are US, England, Germany, Australia, and Spain. So folks can put their answers in there. If you have anything you want to add, Derek, we'd love to hear what you'd have to say. What countries in the world have you had gin in, for example?
Wow, I've been fortunate to have gin in, in a few different countries, pretty much all over the world. I will tell you that the answer is probably maybe more surprising than you think, and it's definitely not the first that comes to mind, I would say. And I can tell you a little bit why after we get to that answer. But yeah, gin is one of the most popular spirits around the world. And it is, again, one of these really beautiful ones. I mean, there's so much love and time and effort, and there's so many like nuances in the ingredients that are put into it that allow gin to be so diverse from all over the world. I mean, I think I just looked up as 68 different countries that are producing gin at this point. I had South African gin the other day, which was lovely.
Nice. Yeah, the answers popped up. And of course, Derek, the answer is?
Spain.
Spain is the correct answer, where on average 1.07 liters is consumed per person. Most folks guessed England in the poll, by the way, they guessed.
Which is fair. It's totally fair. The funny fact is a lot of that gin is actually flavored gin. It's a huge craze right now. Flavored gin is not my personal favorite, but there are some great ones. It's just really, again, a matter of who's making it and why and what are the ingredients they're using. But yeah, right now, like orange gins and things of that nature are kind of huge.
Awesome. And
yeah,
we have one more poll question, or take it away, Derek, whichever you prefer.
No, let's do another poll question. I'm excited. I love the poll questions.
It'll show up here in a second. There it is. Okay, so the question is, what is the earliest known food pairing with gin? And so the options are cheese, smoked salmon, mussels, and gingerbread. Any preferred food pairings for you, Derek?
Oh, wow, yeah. I would say when it comes to gin, I really like nuanced light stuff. I mean, it sounds kind of strange, but gin and sushi, great mix for me. I just like how refreshing the herbal botanicals that go well with just a really clean piece of fish. And I think it kind of is fitting for what we're doing right now and what we're trying to save.
Definitely. Wendy in our chat says gin and tapas makes sense. So
yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, it's definitely as the biggest drinking per capita country. Yeah, tapas make a huge huge sense for the Spaniards to be pairing it with.
No doubt about it. Okay, and so the answer is going to pop up here in a second. Okay, so 50% of the folks answered mussels.
Wow.
The correct answer is gingerbread, and it occurred in 1731, and it became quite common and is still traditional in parts of England. Have you ever had gin and gingerbread as a combo, Derek?
I have not, but I think that's going to be on my list very soon. I mean, it just makes sense. It's part of the name.
Yep, very good.
So I think I'm passing it on now, correct?
Yep, that sounds right. Yep.
Okay, cool. So guys, listen, first of all, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to be passing it off to Bonnie Crabtree. But before that, we're going to be showing a little short video. Thanks again, guys.
I am vast and ancient, blanketing the earth for billions of years. And then you came along. You played in my waters, ate from my seas, and breathed in my salty air. We set forth on new adventures. I became a teacher, a provider, a mother. I am a force of insurmountable strength and solace. But I'm changing. My waters are warming. My reach is growing. And I'm filled with plastics, oils, and waste. And so my children are suffering. Soon I may have nothing more to give. I am the ocean. I am your ocean, the only ocean you have. And I need your help.
The ocean is at the center of who we are. Even if you've never seen the ocean, you're touched by it every single day. It produces half the air you and I breathe, the food we eat, and the water we drink. Ocean Conservancy is working with you to protect the ocean from today's greatest global challenges. Together, we create science-based solutions for a healthy ocean and the wildlife in communities that depend on it. Now is the time to give back to our ocean.
Hello, everyone. We're so grateful to everyone who has joined us today. You know, Ocean Conservancy is the oldest and one of the largest ocean conservation groups with almost 50 years of protecting our ocean. There are many opportunities, there are many solutions, and there really are many challenges around protecting our ocean. And this amazing work that Ocean Conservancy is doing is being done by only 118 people working for Ocean Conservancy. Can you imagine saving the ocean with 118 people? Now, kudos to each of them because they do amazing work. But imagine if we could double, triple, or quadruple that number, what the impact might be. I'm sure that all of you know that the space program and the ocean program receive federal funding. But did you know that the ocean program gets 1/3 of the funding that goes to the space program? And bear with me with a few more do you knows. Do you know that every year, 8 million metric tons of trash and plastics go into our ocean? That is enough to fill to the rim Hard Rock Stadium here in South Florida every day of every year. You know that Florida alone has over 200,000 jobs just in fishing, which results in billions of dollars of positive impact to our economy. We are the fishing capital of the world, and we want to keep it that way. You know, Ocean Conservancy has worked in the state of Florida for over 30 years. And in the past 4 years, as Janis said earlier, we've really increased our commitment. Over 1 million Floridians have participated in Ocean Conservancy's International Coastal Cleanup since it started. As a new board member this past year, I participated in a coastal cleanup. We had that during Super Bowl time. And frankly, I was shocked. We focused on a small stretch of beach on Key Biscayne for basically 2 to 2.5 hours. We collected over 200 pounds of trash. Think about that for a moment. As JP and Janis have mentioned earlier in the program, the ocean needs our help. Florida needs our help. As a Floridian, I'm very proud of the work that Ocean Conservancy is doing day in and day out to protect our ocean. But the challenges are serious, from red tide and harmful algal blooms to the destruction of the Everglades, to the plastic pollution that's choking our beaches and our waters. We still have a lot of work to do. And you know, the ocean is about all of us. It belongs to all of us. And when I say all of us, I mean all of us. But all this work takes resources, and we cannot do this work without the support of generous donors. So if our message and our mission to save the ocean resonates with you, we would welcome a gift. Any gift is meaningful. No gift is too small. Of course, no gift is too large either. And the funds that we raise will support Ocean Conservancy's Florida program. There are two ways to give. You can give tonight by confidentially pledging any amount in your chat box on your screen. Or if you prefer, tomorrow we will send an email to every attendee with the recording of the event, and we'll also provide a link with how you can donate. So let me leave you with one question. How can we not give serious consideration to saving our ocean? Okay, now, let's do what we came to do. Let's cook and let's eat our dinner. So Chef Allen, back over to you.
All right. Thank you so much. It really does make a difference. That's why we're here. But my part is to cook with you and to share. I'm not sure how many of you at home are going to cook this recipe. Hopefully you are, and we're going to have some fun with it. Before, as we get into this, as I suggested, this is going to be a mahi-mahi. Mahi-mahi is a sustainable fish. Okay, what do we mean by sustainable? Sustainability means that we have choices in the fish that we select to eat, and also we have choices to make sure that fish that we select are not overfished, that are not coming from polluted waters, and that also that there's enough of that variety of that species for our grandkids and their grandkids so that we can continue on. So that's why as consumers, as people who eat, and we love to eat fish, and fresh fish and farm-raised fish is also okay. But sustainability is really what the message is, to make sure that we watch what we're doing and kind of ask when you're going to the fishmonger or whether you're going to a restaurant when we do get back out there, where the fish comes from. Ask the chef where the fish comes from. Ask him if he knows that it's caught sustainably, because that's really going to make a difference for us. And it's so important with that. So anyway, let me jump into the recipe. And as you can see, I have my next favorite ingredients, which are mangoes. Okay, I can't help but smile with a mango in my hand. Okay, and there's so many varieties of mangoes. Here in Florida, we have almost 100 varieties of mangoes. I was actually out at the farm today, and I picked all of these mangoes. As you can see, you can't judge a mango by the color of its skin. Just like with people, every person is different. So again, the type of mango it is, the ripeness, it really depends on the variety. Okay, so here, the shape, the color, that really, so when you're picking a mango, what you want to do, okay, I'm going to pick up on this green mango here. Okay, this green mango is a Kent. This Kent is a late season mango. And believe it or not, as green as the shell is, it's really ripe. How can you tell if it's ripe? You give it a little squeeze. You also give a little smell, okay? It's got beautiful tropical ambrosia, which is delicious. Okay, so to cut the mango, I'm going to show you how to cut it, and then we'll get into our fish going on in just a moment. So to cut it, you kind of roll it on its side halfway, and then kind of cut through. Okay, and as we cut through, you can see, look at that. Is that unbelievable? Look at the juiciness of that. So I'm gonna just set that aside for a moment and we're gonna jump into the fish, okay? Because we wanna get cooking here. Okay, so for the fish, we've got our Creole seasoning, okay? The cinnamon, the allspice, the coriander, the cumin, all going into that, a little bit of salt. So we're gonna season the fish up and into a hot pan, okay? So we're gonna get that hot and moving along to cook. So one of the biggest secrets of fish cooking, okay, get this, a hot pan. Preheat the pan, get it hot, get the oil where it becomes aromatic, where you can start to smell it, it starts to loosen up, and then we're gonna take the fish and place it into the hot pan, okay? And that's how we start off the recipe. Really easy and simple. Fish cooking is about cooking fish carefully, meaning browning on the first side and then flipping it over for the second side. You want a hot pan, so you want to make sure it doesn't stick. So as you can see, the hot pan has allowed us not to stick, and it's starting all the way around to sizzle a little bit, and it's going to start to caramelize. That's kind of where that begins.
Chef, we have a question for you about mangoes.
Sure.
There are over 100 types, and each one probably ripens at different times, like you said. How do we know if a mangrove is maybe too ripe, or if it's, and what's wrong with the too ripe mango?
Okay, well, too ripe mango, it just means you have to do something else with it. Okay, mangoes, first off, they ripen off the tree. They ripen from the center out. So that here we have a ripe mango, it's still too firm. When it gets too ripe, it gets mushy, okay? And if it's mushy, you can puree it. You can actually squeeze it and puree it and do something. I made a mango jam from a very ripe mango, which is awesome. They're really delicious. Just a little bit of lime and a little sugar and cooked it down slowly, and that was really good. Another recipe I love with mangoes that are very ripe is actually a mango chutney, which has a little bit of spice and a little bit of sourness, so we got some great flavors.
Love it. We had a question for you as well as to which kind of oil did you use in that pan?
This is olive oil I started off with. Okay, so here I'm going to take this and flip it over. Okay, so you can see we've got some really nice color going on to that with the warm spices. And as this is cooking here now, what I'm going to do is start to add in some of the ingredients for the mojo. Mojo is a marinade, so that the marinade, what we've got is a little bit of garlic going into it. Okay, so a little bit of garlic here on the side. There's going to be a pan sauce and a little bit of ginger also. So the aromatic, man oh man, I don't know if you can smell that yet, but the aromatics are happening here. Delicious. Okay, some red onion. I love red onion. A little bit of sweetness to it. Okay, so we've got some red onion going into it. And again, just going to get that soft and kind of moving around in that sort of fashion.
Chef, another question for you about this.
Sure.
You said that you put the pan to warm first, or to get hot first. What would you say that was? Medium heat? Like what kind of level would we call that?
Medium heat. I'm cooking on a induction range, which is the number 7. 10 would be the highest. So 7 is medium high.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, so here I've got this going on. The onions are starting to cook through, soften, sweeten as well. And so to that, I'm going to add in a little bit of fresh orange juice. Okay, now the orange juice, we can use sour oranges because you can get actually sour oranges in South Florida. Elsewhere, we do a combination of orange juice and lime juice. So I put in the orange juice there, and now I'm going to put a nice fresh squeeze of lime juice into this. So that's kind of the flavors that are going on to it. Okay, and it's still cooking, as you can see. Going to give that just a little bit of a glaze, keeping the fish moist, cooking that down and through. And now, as promised, okay, the mango, really easy. Okay, so for the mango, what I'm going to do with a sharp knife is take this beautiful lush mango. I'm actually going to have to hold it over the pan because it's just oozing with flavor. Okay, you can see it dripping. Okay, and then with the spoon, what I'm going to do is take that and just scoop the mango pieces right into our sauce. Just scooping right out of the shell of the mango. Okay, so it's a really good way to get a lot of the flesh out, flavors into it. Now look at that.
From the audience, Chef. That's looking amazing. Another question is, are those fillets skinned or do they have skin on?
On the mahi, this is a skinned fillet. Okay, I like to use a skinned fillet for mahi. If I were to use like a snapper, a yellowtail, I love the skin onto that. This recipe would work with salmon, even though it's not our local fish, but would work with salmon, with grouper, with snapper. Kind of really versatile recipe. Again, just lots of flavor going on here. Okay, so as this is cooking, I'm going to get this glaze that we've got and kind of moisten the fish again and again. Gonna also put a little bit of mango flavor going on into this. And as you can see, beautiful flesh. And that's not a skin, that's because we had such nice warm spices. The cinnamon, the cumin, the coriander sort of gave us that coloration on the fish. And the fish is cooking, simmering into it. So it started off this kind of a pan roasting. It's starting to pan roast really beautifully and very nicely with that. Okay, so then what's the most important thing when you're cooking? Taste your food, okay? So with that, we're gonna taste that. Okay, I'm gonna actually put a little bit more seasoning into the mojo sauce. This mahi mango mojo, I'll tell you what, this is gonna be awesome. I hope you get to try this at home. If not tonight, but on another night. Really fun and easy. So let me tell you, while this is cooking, it's gonna finish about the mangoes, because I was talking about mangoes, and I'm mango crazy. Actually doing a virtual mango festival every week. You can tune in to Instagram TV, or on my Facebook and see the recipes. Right now, it's been going on for about 16 weeks. All sorts of different recipes, from desserts to sweets. Just really wonderful. Lots of great flavors with the mango, because it's such a great fruit. And who doesn't have a mango tree in their backyard? I want to see your hands if you got a mango tree in your backyard, because I'll come and share them with you. So kind of a lot of fun.
One more couple questions for you, Chef. And I do have a mango tree in my backyard, so I take advantage of them. They're Tommy mangoes. They're excellent.
Beautiful.
So one question is, skin side first. If we're using a fillet with skin on it, are we putting the skin side down first?
Good question. If you're using a skin-on fillet, you put the skin down first, and depending on the fish, some fish need a little bit of pressure. Pressure means with a spatula, just holding it down slightly so that the skin doesn't pull back as it cooks. And so keeping the pressure on in the olive oil or butter, whatever you're cooking with, for the first half minute to 2 minutes or so till it sets its shape, and then you can remove the pressure and then stay with it like that.
Nice. And one more question for you, Chef. What's a good sense on how many minutes to cook per inch of fish when cooking on the stove?
I'm glad you asked, because so many people overcook fish. And once it's overcooked, you've cooked the juices out of it. And so that, for me, cooking with a fish about for an inch per inch, probably about 5 to 6 minutes, okay, which is under what most people look at with that. So I'm going to add in a little bit of cilantro into this, okay, so to finish this mango mojo. Looking good, and going to take the fish and put her on the plate, okay, and then just kind of serving with the mango mojo here, with that there, and then also just a little bit on top. Okay, so kind of really beautiful, sweet. That is a mahi mango mojo. You're gonna love it. You're gonna have a great time. I hope you've all enjoyed this presentation for Ocean Conservancy. Such a great organization, such an important mission that we're doing here. Hope to see you soon. If you have any questions, I'm here still to answer, or you can email or text it to me and get it to me, and I'll answer as well.
Yeah, don't go away yet, because we did get a couple more questions for you, Chef.
All right.
Absolutely incredible. I wish I was at Derek's house. I wish I was at your house. I don't know whose house I'm going to first. But the question that I quite liked is, I have a friend who's allergic to mangoes. When she eats mangoes, it actually causes her face to kind of break out. And the question from someone in our audience is, she's allergic to mangoes. What fruit would you recommend as a substitute for this kind of dish?
Okay, that's good. First off, I have two great substitutes for mango, either peaches or pineapple. One is a little bit plusher, richer. The other is a little sweeter, tartar. So it really depends on either one, but both will work, or both together. Peaches and pineapple with this would make a great combination with the mahi moho. So again, with a pineapple, you want to make sure it's ripe, and with the peach. Sometimes both of those are just not ripe and they're not so nice.
Nice. And another question we had, a lot of folks tuning in aren't from Florida, and they don't have the bounty of mangoes that we have here. Or moreover, when they get mangoes, they're not sure if they're fresh or not. You talked a little bit about ripeness by squeezing into the mango. Is there anything else you should be looking for when you're shopping for mangoes at the store? Color?
Sure. So usually when you get a mango in the store, it's probably fairly firm, because they actually pick it early, so it stays firm for shipping in the cold chain, and that's kind of how it goes. But so when you're kind of picking a mango, it's not bad to pick a firm mango. Because actually what you should do is let it ripen on your countertop. Don't put it in the refrigerator to ripen. Ripen on a countertop, very much like an avocado or tomato, okay? Don't throw it in the refrigerator. That chill really hurts all of the ripening sugars, the sweetness with that. My other perspective on mangoes is green mangoes, hard, firm green mangoes are delicious. Okay, lots of cultures all around the world would rather have a hard green mango, mature, fully ripe, but not sweet. So it's a little bit starchy, almost like a green apple. Crunchy, crispy, tart. And adding a little bit of chili, a little salt, a little bit of lime to this, awesome. So mangoes don't need to always be sweet and lush and rich. So that throughout the world, this is the most popular fruit in the world, and that's because it's so versatile.
Yeah, you mentioned mango chutney a little earlier, and I'm definitely going to try my hand at that one. I absolutely love it. I mean, I only ever buy it in the jar. Mrs. Ball's mango, I think, is from South Africa. It's totally one of my favorite condiments. But yeah, Chef, thank you for that. I think we have one more poll question to close this out, and our moderator's going to throw it up on the screen right now. I'll read it out, and Chef, you can discuss the context a little bit. What is the typical lifespan of the mahi-mahi fish? The options are 4 to 5 years, 7 to 9 years, 10 to 12 years, and 15 plus years.
Okay, so while you're filling that out and answering the question, you know, with mahi-mahi, it's one of the fish that's kind of available almost everywhere. And you want, you know, I love fishing for mahi-mahi. They kind of swim in schools. And so when you're catching the mahi, you're catching a number of them. But again, they're bright and shiny and just great colorful fish, not to be confused with the dolphin fish. Okay, the dolphin, though we're here in Florida, we call this dolphin sometimes, but it is a mahi-mahi. Okay, so that the average age is probably more about, are we ready to answer that question? Or
let's have the answers come up before we spoil it for the folks.
Oh, okay. Spoiler alert.
We'll run their guesses first. And I think a lot of folks don't know just how big a mahi can get. They can get gigantic, frankly. A lot of folks guess 7 to 9 years, Chef. And if you want to holler out the correct answer.
Sure, yeah, it's actually 4 to 5 years. Okay, yeah. And you're right. It's a great fishing fish, as well as great tasting, eating fish. And the fish can, you know, you can get a mahi, which would be really small like this, but they can actually get to be like that, especially the bulls, the males with the rounded head on it, bright colorations, kind of fluorescent as you're catching it. And you know, Conservancy is about eating fish, the recreational part of fish, but not overdoing it, okay? Not overdoing it, making sure that there's enough that it's sustainable for the future and that we all share in the resource.
Yeah, absolutely, Chef. Thank you for that. And thank you for your passion for sustainable fisheries. It's really a joy to have folks like you who are preparing amazing white tablecloth meals for us using this tremendous bounty that we have just in our waters right offshore. So we're going to bring the rest of the folks back onto camera right now to say thank you and to bid our farewells. So I think everyone's going to join up, and we can take our sign-offs now.
Yes, let's just do a virtual round of applause to the incredible Chef Susser and his wife Judy, our amazing mixologist Derek Stilmann, and Ocean Conservancy's own Bonnie Crabtree and JP Brooker. Thank you, JP. And for all of you who joined us tonight, thank you for caring about and supporting our ocean and Ocean Conservancy. And good eating and drinking.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
Thank you.
Oh, I want to say thank you for myself for all of the support we got for this event. The ocean also thanks you. Enjoy your dinner and good night.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.